And you guys talk about the industry and what, the different aspects of the industry. And I think a lot of people don't know about the water industry, about the, what would be the thing that you would want the audience to know about the industry? Maybe, something that they don't know about the industry, but maybe an emphasis of, hey, here's what you need to know about the water industry.
I think we've already covered a little bit of it. It's just it's not a dinosaur in terms of there is innovation. I worked as a kid, 16 years old, unloading socket clamps and threaded rod and nuts and bolts, which all go into restraining something. I mean, you have a lot of pressure in a confined space, a pipe, and it's flowing, and it can blow apart, and accidents can happen. And so innovation has come along where now I don't stock that. I don't buy that product. I have what's called a restraint gland, and there's a number of different manufacturers, and we sell those. And that's come out of innovation from companies. So it's not stodgy, it's not boring, it's not antiquated. It is, dare I say, cutting edge. It is people in a technology-filled world trying to figure out how to do things better and safer.
Right.
And we talk about out of sight, out of mind. I guess we want it to be out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
If we're doing our job,
you don't ever have to worry about it.
It works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When you talk about a restraint gland,
yes.
Explain that
easy
a little bit.
for you to say.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Okay,
explain that a little bit.
I guess plumbing would be the easiest because everyone has maybe looked under their kitchen sink and seen, an elbow that comes down, and you turn on the faucet and the water comes in, and you turn and it goes down the drain. Well, there's a connection. There's a 45-degree bend. There's a 90-degree bend. But to put a 90-degree bend together with a straight piece of pipe, you have to connect it to something, and it has to join together, and then it has to be, for lack of a better word, glued or secured, right?
Right.
All right. So that's easy if you're talking about drain, waste, and vent. You
Right.
put a little PVC cement on it. You can make porch furniture out of that stuff,
Yep.
right? When you're talking about a 36-inch piece of pipe that feeds the city of Boston, from a reservoir that's 100 miles away, there's a lot of water, there's a lot of force.
Yeah.
So how are you going to put something around that elbow, that joint, and make sure that it's there for 100 years and will be gone, and it's still there, feeding the city of Boston?
Right.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, because if everything was straight, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
But you have all kinds of bends and turns and T's and Y's and all that stuff, and you're talking about pressures of anywhere, depending on what your 40 to 80 pounds of pressure and the size of these lines they are, and then ground movement, settlement, all the things involved. So you got to restrain. You not only restrain the part of the fitting, you got to restrain back on the pipe too, because the fitting moves, the pipe moves, everything moves along with it. And like I said, as long as you have a gasket involved, there is always the availability of movement.
Gotcha.
Plus or minus, okay? So restraints are very important when we go through the system because it secures the system. And years ago, we used to, like I said, technology growing, we used to throw 4 thrust blocks. Well, how much thrust blocks do you need? Well, just
Right.
keep
Which is
pouring
basically just a huge piece of concrete.
Massive amount of concrete.
car.
The bigger the line, the more concrete it is,
Right.
okay? Then we realized, well, that's just ridiculous because concrete settles, everything moves too. So what you got to do something that's actually restrained to the actual pipe itself inside is just a block behind it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, the restraint world. And they make it in the bell restraints, they make it internally, externally, fittings, all that goes together. Because, like I said, when you're talking about the drain, that's one thing, that's gravity fed.
Right.
But when you talk about getting in the reclaim and reuse water, their pressures can be up to 125 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, huge amount of pressures on some of these mains because they're pumping just main water that's been already treated out to systems, and usually the transmission mains are real long, so they use a lot higher pressure. Nowadays the faucets and the manufacturers are getting more geared up to have a higher pressure type of faucets for your houses, everything else, because as we grow as a population, those plants are going to have to pick up the actual PSI, which is pounds per square inch pressure on those mains to feed that water supply farther and farther in distance. And then they can put booster pumps on top of that to keep the pressure up so they keep moving down the line.
Yeah.
So your pressure is going to be very important later down the road.
Yeah.
Way to ask a question so that we would really start nerding out.
I know.
Details.
I know. The one thing I always want to do is make sure that the
Did he just
audience
call us
knows what
nerds?
they're talking
I think he just
about.
called us nerds.
This podcast is over.
Yes.
We're out of here.
El Presidente has spoken.
I wonder, though, I was just thinking, you sell something called a corporation stop. And if you've ever seen a corporation stop incorrectly tapped into a piece of ductile iron pipe and come out like a rocket, like a bullet, it is impressive. I wonder that, the people who are not knowledgeable about our industry understand, how much working pressure goes on beneath the street you drive on.
Right.
It's something else.
I got a story about that real quick, and I'll try to. In certain municipalities, they use what they call a cleaning swab. It's a poly pig, some type of product like that, and they put it inside the line, and usually it's upsized. So if it's a 12-inch line, they put a 14-inch pig in. And what that does is flushes out the line, gets all the debris from construction out of it, cleans the whole thing. It's like a cotton swab, basically. Okay, think about it this way.
Is that like a colonoscopy?
I was
Pretty much.
Nate, you and I.
You're going the same way. I've already been in the Force Main story. I'm not
I
going
don't want to
there.
go down this road.
So
We're all of that age.
Yes, we are.
So
That's
when
why
you
we need new, younger people to take over.
So when you talk
There's
about
the correlation.
we talk about the PSI. I remember going to a job site where they were built a giant industrial park, and it was a 12-inch main feed, and they were cleaning out the line. And you could hear the swab coming through the line, and all they're using is line pressure on the other side. All they're using is normal line pressure. And you can hear this thing come down the pipeline, hitting turns, moving through, and it's pushing sludge. I had an engineer, not to say anything about engineers, but just didn't quite understand the concept what was about to happen, was sticking his head down the 12-inch pipe, looking down in it. I grabbed him by the collar and pulled him back. I said, you may want to stay away from this thing. This thing came out of it. It looked like something fired out of the USS Arizona. It went clear across a field with a water contrail behind it. It had to fly at least 100 yards across a field. And if he had his head in front of that thing, and that's just regular line pressure.
Yeah.
Once it popped, the flow came out normal and everything else, but just the pressure behind it, and that's what we're talking about, restraints and all the systems, it'd have killed a person without a problem at all.
There's just a ton of engineering and design that goes into making these systems and making them work. And to your point, being buried and out of sight, out of mind.
Turning on the water faucet, flushing the toilet, whatever it is, that's easy for us.
Yeah.
Right.
But what the people do before that is, something that is unseen and it's unheralded from that standpoint.
How many engineers do you have at AY McDonald working on?
We got over a dozen engineers.
A dozen engineers. All that's all consumed with it. Yeah.
Yep. So
Innovative thinkers.
Yeah.
How do we build a better whatever widget we're working on?
Yeah.
And that's what it does.
And that's one thing, I think AY has, coming to the industry fairly new, obviously. It's one of those things that I think
You came to the industry.
That's what I meant.
We've been around 166 years.
Was it from washing machines? Wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly right.
See, I know.
Good
I know
memory.
who I work with.
Which takes what?
Water, as well as refrigerators to make ice, which is dishwasher, which takes water.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I was most impressed with AY when I came here was their willingness to jump that line of, hey, let's innovate a little bit faster than anybody else in the industry. Nate, you were one of our first participants as far as the very first innovation summit.
It was a fantastic experience. I was invited by Scott and Rob, who I know, obviously, and to come out to Dubuque and be a part. They had hired the improv group.
Right.
But they were skilled in flushing out ideas, and we worked on it for 2 days. And particularly, I'm going to take a little bit of credit for something, but I said, I want to be able to order AY like I do on some other platforms, watching football on my iPad and go, I need 25 new corpse, I need 25 new curbs. And how many stainless steel inserts did I last buy? And I think you were like, are you kidding me? But then at the end of this whole innovation summit, they said, these are the 3 things that people want. One of them was a traveling truck to show training truck. I can't remember what the third one. I think it was stronger boxes maybe, but that's actually a joke. But But no, it was interesting that so I participated in this and
gentler freight carriers.
You guys
is that
actually
really
did
what the
it.
issue is?
You did it, and I'm actually promoting you now, and I shouldn't because
Oh, you should really.
because you got to have a little bit of something on your vendors. But boy, you did it all, right? And it's easier for us, the distributor, to conduct business with you. We're more knowledgeable because of it. And then we saw that you listened to what we said and you invested in it. And I remember Rob, who's your cousin.
Yes.
He sort of being the good cop, bad cop was like, I can't believe we're doing this, but we're building an innovation
Center.
wing, center, right? Yeah. And that's where Kelly is, whom we thought this would be with Kelly, not you two.
And that's why you
clowns.
guys,
I call it bait and switch.
Yeah, right. Anyway, but no, I was honored to be a part of it, and I just continually. That was a number of years ago, 2017 maybe.
Yeah.
I give you guys such credit for that, because that shows you when you're with a customer that like these guys listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just like you bought this item and that's it. End of transaction. End of story.
Well, and we say the customer is the boss. It's
Right.
one of the things that we absolutely live by. And when you invite all your bosses to come spend some time together and they tell you what they'd really like you to do, you darn well better do it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to your point of like, I was surprised that we actually took action and got it done. It's like, well, that's kind of who we are. And that was a great outcome, and we've continued to do it since then. So it's
Well, the cool thing is now you send us emails, or Kelly does.
Mm-hmm.
I got this issue, and
Yep.
it might be applicable to what I do or not, because there's different facets in our industry where you've gone to the next level. So you've built the foundation of the innovation wing,
Mm-hmm.
and you're actually now putting stuff out there that says, what do you guys think about this? And you're like, whoa. That's crazy. That's a great idea. Or tweak it this way, tweak it that way. Or no, I don't sell any of those, but somebody in, North Carolina might.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
it's been fun to see.
It's one of the things that's very obvious is that you guys are extremely passionate about the industry, which is absolutely fantastic. So you guys have your day jobs, but you're also on the board of directors for WASDA. Why is it that you chose to? Hey, you know what? I'm gonna take on this additional responsibility and be on the board.
Well, I think it's easy to talk, but it's a lot harder to walk the walk.
Yeah.
So you can talk about water, but if you're not really involved on trying to make it better, then you're just doing lip service. You talk to your neighbors and you talk about, hey, this is what I do in this industry, this is what I do. Most of the time they say, I have no idea. I had no idea. So the important thing is that I'm not even at it, but I'm involved in this organization, to let them understand that there's multiple organizations out there trying to make a safer America for you in the water industry. In the sewer industry, the storm industry, all this was all dovetailed together. It all works together. And when you see the flooding and all the storms and everything else, hey, the reason why we're getting better quality storm pipe, we don't want to have that problem anymore. We want to be able to flow more, move more water to situations where flooding is involved. You turn around, you have line breaks. We want better water main breaks. A better situation where breaks don't happen.
Right.
That you don't have to worry about boiling your water, and is your water safe, is all these things. You got sewage backed up. Where it's going to go? It's going to go right back up you because it's gravity fed. And the problem is you need to work through those things. So you got to understand that there's multiple organizations working together, hand in hand at all times, to try to make it better. And that comes from the manufacturer to the distributor to the end user municipalities. All of us are in there. So really, you need to be involved. And like I said, there's organizations out there where everybody loves to say, "Hey, I understand what's going on." But it's to understand and be involved and actually roll up your sleeves and get in there and do what you need to do to make it happen. That's where it takes the next chapter. And that's where the passion and the love for this industry is. You're talking about being a family-owned business. My son just entered in this business.
Oh.
I've been talking to him for a lot of years.
Yeah.
He's been involved. He's watched things. He's been out in jobs with me for years and years. And it's proud to know that another generation of from my side of the family is going in this.
That's great.
My dad was an aerospace engineer. He put the man on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm bringing water to your house. So I think it's just as important by
Absolutely.
any means. And when we're talking about usage and we're talking about a little bit of facts and fun things, most Americans don't know how much water we use in the United States a day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 42 million gallons a day. Billion, excuse me, it's billion. Now I
Billions,
think about
yeah,
it, it's
right.
billion, 42 billion. That was a stat in 2020. Can you imagine population growth, what it is now?
Yeah.
That's a lot of water.
Yep.
And like I said, when you're talking 42 billion gallons a day, and that makes everything that we do. And like I said, that's why it's involved. Like I said, most people, when you talk to them, your friends, area people that you meet through the different industries or whatever, and they tell them about what they're doing, you start talking about your stuff, you're going, man, that's pretty interesting stuff. I had no idea.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of evolved. I take a more simplistic answer to the question. I just enjoy it. I coach flag football for my son.
Yeah.
I've coached soccer for my daughter. There's other things that I maybe should be as a person on this planet, right, doing, but I don't. But why do I do WASDA stuff? I just enjoy it, and it's a lot of work. I've been on the board for a decade. I'm now on the executive committee as president, and I have a weekly call about it. We don't get any financial gain from that. We don't. We put in. But what I get on the plane last night I live in Massachusetts and we're coming out to Chicago and I'm excited. I'm I leave my house and I'm sad that I'm leaving my kids
Sure.
for 2 days. And then I find I get to the airport and I'm excited. I'm like, I'm going to see you. I'm going to see Greg, and we're going to and when you conduct business with people in Waterworks, you conduct business, but then sometimes things go off, right? Things are fun.
Yeah.
We were having breakfast and laughing and making fun of ourselves and just being people. And I went to school and I had a group of friends. I went to university and I had a group of friends. And it's like it continues because I have a group from HR Prescott, our family of employees and people. And then I have a WASDA family, and it's like it's an association that you see your buddies.
Yeah.
Which is, that wasn't the answer to the question 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Really?
It was, well, you got to give back. You got to do, yeah, you do, right? You chose to do this avenue. But then as you get a little bit older and you're in it, you're like, well, you do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
That's you don't do anything if it's not fun, right?
Yeah. And, you know, the people that we've had the opportunity to have on the podcast that are in the industry, that's one thing you find out is that they love it.
Yeah.
And they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And it definitely shows.
Well, the passion comes from the heart.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, if you really love what you're doing and you love it because you understand there's a benefit to everybody out there involved, you put more into it. And like I said, a lot of this is a volunteer army.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, we're not getting paid for
No.
this. We've all signed up for multiple years to be a part of this thing.
You're in it.
And the way we look at it, we're kind of writing the next chapter of where we're going for the next vision we're having on what we're going to be doing and what our goals are and where we're going, what direction that we're going as a organization, which ties in other organizations. Because believe me, everybody looks at what WASDA is doing out there, figuring out what we're doing. We get phone calls all the time with organizations going like, hey, what are you guys doing? What are you working on? Can we partner with you in this event? Can we partner with you in this basically vision that you have about going forward? And like I said, that's working together in a community as this business community as having a common goal, and that's just trying to make things better.
Yeah.
That's great.
Like I said, it's proud to be it.
Yeah.
Proud.
And the other thing that's weird is there's no self-promotion, or there's no, I mean, there's companies, but there's no, when you're in a WASDA event, at a WASDA event, there's no one person who you're like, oh, that guy's icky, or that person is like, do you know?
Yeah.
It
I haven't
is.
heard icky in a while. But
Yeah.
Well, I could use a lot of different language,
sure.
but
I like
I don't
that.
know the audience.
Family show.
Yeah.
You're listening to hopefully you're listening to this while driving your child to elementary school and sunny day in Dubuque.
It's number one out there.
But no, but it's true. You look across the landscape and you're not like, oh gosh, Tim just walked in the room. Oh,
Yeah.
now we got to listen to his
Cringe.
spiel for that. Doesn't happen. Which is that unique? I don't know, Greg. Like, you're probably involved in more things than I am. Like when you go to Washington D.C. and you're in a room and you're like, oh, okay, are we done with this? Right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think what happens there is that there is everybody puts all their agendas to the side.
right.
There is one agenda. That's to do a good job for what we're here for.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not individual personalities. It's all what's best for the overall common good for the organization, and that just reflects to all our members, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there are competitors in there. There are people who make different products in there. There are all the other things, but they come for one common goal, and that's to promote this industry. And that's what really makes it nice about it. Like I said, it's a judgment-free zone. Excuse me.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, judgment-free zone. So that's what's great about that is that, you know, you're here for a reason. And by the way, all of them are there are for the same reason. All of them came because it's not that their company told them they had to come.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be a part of something that's going to be great.
You usually come once, you come again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will hook you.
Yeah, I was thinking, Doug. You know, I'm sure I've done a million things wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for agreeing.
Yeah.
As a
I just thought you meant in general. I was
million,
just
million
okay.
things wrong as a stand-in.
That was pretty quick, by the way. I like that. Yes, you have.
I really appreciate that. But as a stand-in guest host, you know, one thing I did realize is we just jumped right into the business side of this discussion, and we did not get into your personal lives and your families and all
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Nate, and I'm sitting there thinking about it, and she's going to watch this or listen to it, hopefully, and Jen's going to be like, "Oh, really? Nothing about family?
Nothing.
at all?
I got nothing.
Thanks,
Huh?
Scott.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
a lot."
That is absolutely true. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I'm reminding you.
Yeah. So please give us a little bit of personal history as far as your
personal?
interests, family at home, what you like to do in your spare time, that sort of thing.
Okay, well, I'm really blessed. I have a very supportive wife, Jen, who actually works for a company called Save One Life. They do hemophiliac. They get medication to developing countries and people who have needs that have hemophilia.
Yeah.
That's for lack of a better word. Jen's gonna crucify me for not getting that right. But and I have a wonderful daughter who's 15 and a son who's 11, and I spend all my time with them and a dog. I like to be out on the water. I like to downhill ski. I live in New England, which I think is the best place in the world to be from May until October. And then if you ski, it's awesome in other parts of the winter. And then as I mentioned before, I work with my brother. So my wife, Jen, is, she's ingrained in the family business because she has a sister-in-law and other people involved. What can I tell you? I'm kind of simple. I'm frugal. I had a father who was born out of the Depression, and I have a barn full of old parts, and if I can find a spring from a dishwasher and make something work that's in the barn that's been there for 15 or 20 years, then I'm the happiest guy on the planet. And I bring that to our business in terms of you never throw anything away. I hear from some of our other distributors who you have to have cycle turns and get rid of dead inventory. And I'm like, can I fish through your dumpster? Because I'll make that work.
Great.
What else can I
Dumpster
tell you?
diver.
Yeah. I have a really great relationship with my brother. It's funny. He's 8 years older than I am, and he used to, I'll be polite, he used to beat the snot out of me when I was a kid. But now we are older. He's 8 years older, as I just said, and it's a joy to work with him. And he's different than I am. I have some skills that he doesn't, and vice versa. He has some skills that I don't. So it's always good to bounce stuff off a partner, and that's a lot of fun. That's it in a nutshell. I mean, I could go into the minutia, but like I mentioned with Scott, we both have a love of being out on the water. Yeah. And then Greg and I, this is a guy who works with a big distributor in the Carolinas, right? But there's a relationship here. He called me up one day to talk about, we were going to a WASDA event down in Florida, talk about deep sea fishing. I grew up on the Cape, going offshore in a boat my father had carved together, who more often than not didn't start. And we would go out to the Horseshoe Shoal to catch stripers when there were no striped bass. And so then I talked to Greg, and Greg has done all this unique fishing down in the South and things like that. And that's, again, segueing back to how you start to talk about something with somebody and you're like, oh, you like that too? And
build
so
that relationship.
Yeah, I could go on for hours, but that's just it in a nutshell.
Good.
I think, again, when you do business, you conduct business, there's so many similarities when you get to know people and you get to do a deeper dive,
Greg, how about you? Kind of personal interest in that sort of thing?
Yeah, been fortunate. I found a young lady that understood very quickly when I was dating her that I was in the water and sewer industry.
Well, she smelled the aquavelva.
Well, she smelled the aquavelva, and she thought it was well, that's unique. But her name is Heather. I'm proud to say
we'll on the shelf?
Yeah, we've been married 34 years this August. Wow. When we first dating, and she was real picked up. By that time, I was actually had a utility contracting company. But when we walk around and we're traveling and looking at places, I'd be looking at fire hydrants and studying things. And she says, so what do you really do for a living? And of course, she heard about the whole living as we were going through this dating process. Took her to job sites. She would get a phone call. Hey, I got a problem. Can you come over here? Well, she'd go with me to these job sites. So she's been involved with me in this really all my life with this thing. She's been very good at understanding when the phone rings, you need to go, you need to take care of things, there's responsibilities. As she says, sometimes you feel like a Waterworks Widow, because you pick up the wrong time and leave. It's always the wrong time, but you do what you need to do. But she was very supportive with this. Like I said, we have been fortunate to have a son that decided to join this industry after working for another major manufacturer for years to learn the industry. At that point in time, I said it was the best for him to go off and learn this industry on his own. Mm-hmm. And then maybe later on we could work together, which has happened, and I'm really proud of that. We were only blessed to have one son. So it's good to see that generational thing is moving forward. Mm-hmm. As Nate basically said, I love to fish.
Yeah.
So when it comes about water, I'm all about water.
Yeah.
And and we look at all the stuff that goes involved, and usage of ocean water. Was an inshore fisherman and basically freshwater all my life. I got very disgusted with the way the water quality was in the lakes that we were all around because of all the chemical pour-offs and all the other things. So I was an advocate very young about stopping the ag guys from just dumping everything in the waters in Florida, because I grew up in Florida because of all the things that were happening to our freshwater lakes. Moved from that to intercoastal fishing, and then decided, wait a minute, There's a whole ocean out there. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so you see how much that what we do in our water industry affects what goes on out there also. It's tied together. I mean, we're talking about pulling salt water in and making fresh water out of it and all the other things. So it's all tied together. But, fishing is a passion of mine. It makes you understand when you're out there in the vast ocean really how small a part of this whole world you are. So while you're here, make the best of it and be a part of this world and do something to help this world. Yeah. And that's how I think that it's one of those things that, it's a choice you make.
Right.
You can sit back on the sidelines and wait for it to all work out, or you can get in the game and be a part of it and make it work.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great about this thing. Like we said, we're not looking for massive armies. We're looking for people willing to roll up their sleeves and put some effort into making this better and safer for all of us. And that's what I like about it. It's a passion. It's all about the heart.
Yep.
The head knowledge is there because we've been in this industry for so long that we know a lot of things, and we need to try to train those who are coming up below us, basically working in this new industry for the first time. Hey, this is what you need to learn. This is where you need to go. This is the path you need to follow. These are the organizations you need to start learning about and get involved with, because we're not going to be here forever.
What?
And I know, break the news to you. I know that you're Superman and you're the president. But the bottom line is we're not going to be here. So we need to take the people who are coming behind us and educate them why this is so important. We've all got the passion. We got to take that passion and transfer it to them so they have the passion about it too.
Yep.
Just to keep it going. And it's going to. This industry's growing. We all know that.
Yep.
I mean, like I said, we're talking about the size distributor. I mean, whether you're one supply house, two supply house, or like us, we're across the Sun Belt, driven across the United States, a lot of supply houses. There's a common cause, and that's just try to help our communities. And that's what we do. Help our communities all the time. It's our business.
It's an industry that'll always be important.
Yeah,
always
absolutely.
be important.
Hey, Doug, you talk about geeking out on Waterworks.
Yeah.
I have an album in my phone.
Yeah.
It's pictures of fire hydrants. So I have Cambridge, Massachusetts, St. Louis. I have Waterville Valley, New Hampshire. And
Right.
so when I get to 12,
Yeah.
you can go to some of these, off-site places and make a calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I legitimately, I'm not making this up.
No way. You made a calendar?
No, that's my plan. I got
The
4.
FBI is
And so
following
I'm just
him right
reminded
now, by
that
the
I'm in
way.
Chicago, I got to find a picture of a hydrant because,
Yeah.
my dad used to do that too.
Oh,
He'd
yeah.
stop and he traveled a bit. They'd go to Europe, and my mom would be like, John,
Lock the brakes up.
Right.
what are you doing? He'd be like, hey, check this out. Look at this over here.
It's a corky fire hydrant. They haven't made that in how many years?
Spouses don't care. They just roll their eyes
yeah.
and go
Oh,
like,
my
can we
gosh.
go into the
He's
restaurant
off an
now?
adventure.
Hold on, I got to take a couple more pictures of this fire hydrant.
Outside of every building I go in, I'm always looking at the gas valve
Yeah.
on the outside to see if it's a McDonald's
You ever see
gas
something
valve.
that's
or-
broken? You're like, oh, I could fix that,
Oh, yeah. You walk in and tell
Actually, it's more like I know somebody that could fix that. Maybe not me myself.
You're better, man.
You walk in and you tell the restaurant your backflow's not working properly. Well, what's the backflow? Well, let me show you. Bring out here. And wife's like, oh, great.
we order,
We're going
Greg?
to have dinner first. I thought, nope, we're going to go out and fix a backflow.
Yeah, I think in our industry we're all the same. We're always looking at the,
Oh, yeah. It's
So
curiosity.
if that's attractive to you as a young person and you want to get into our industry,
yeah.
The way to do it.
TikTok, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Good. Well, you have anything else, or you?
Well, if we're kind of wrapping
Yeah.
up, I just personally want to thank Nate and thank Greg because I've known you both for years, and I know your personalities, and really thought it would be great having you both on. I think you've got a lot to contribute. I'm grateful for the fact that you both do what you do in your businesses, but also grateful for the fact that you are serving on the WASDA board because you are making a difference in our industry, and there is a lot of time that you guys are putting into it on your own, giving of your time that you could be spending with family, and just really appreciate what you do. So thank you for taking the time to do what you do, and also for being on our show,
Yeah.
because it's certainly we're passionate about this industry, and anything we can do to really help promote, we want to do too.
Well, your company definitely gives back, and so it was an honor when you asked me
Absolutely.
to do this, and happy to do it. And I know more people in AY than just you, Scott, and Rob, and Doug, and there's people back there in Dubuque doing things, and it's just it's a continuation. It's a family. You use that. You guys have a family. We have a family, but we're kind of like cousins. And just thank everybody out there in AY world for just doing what you guys do, because it makes a difference. As a distributor and as an end user of your product, it's important. So thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, you share the passion with us. Mm-hmm. We're partners in this thing. We really are. Manufacturers, distributors, even our municipalities. And I give a Rob McDonald quote, make water great again. Mm-hmm. That's passion. When you're willing to go out and print on hats and wear them around, that's passion. Yeah. And that brings conversation. Conversation breeds education.
Yep.
And our job is to educate everybody what's going on out here. Not in a scary way, not in a way that makes everybody feel uncomfortable, but reassure them that there's people out here who are actually working for a better America through the water systems. Yeah. And that's what they know.
Do you think people have listened to this podcast and then they're reassured that you and I are actually behind the scenes?
No.
Or is their car going off the road right now as they're listening to the podcast?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. One of the things I listen to Mike Rowe, and one of the things that he talks about his podcast is that he likes to just sit back and learn, from his guests. And having you two on has been absolutely fantastic for me, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much for that. Also like to, though, apologize. I mean, we had to throw in the second fiddle. I mean, you did a great job.
Great job.
So, but no, seriously, thank you very much. It was great, and we do appreciate it. And so, if anybody out there has any ideas, thoughts as far as discussions or suggestions as far as topics, feel free to email us at ay. See.
Edit.
No, I always do that. I cannot.
It's his signature move.
No.
He always messes up the close.
The close.
I do. Yeah. So
in fairness to Doug, though, before he actually does the close, no additional pressure, but I said, Doug, do you want me to do the close for you?
Yeah.
And then I tried to do it, and I totally blew it too.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's not as easy as it looks.
not.
I'll go ahead and
Doug.
close.
Yeah, there you
now.
go.
I'll go ahead and close.
Yeah.
Remember one thing: no water, no beer. Think about it.
there you go.
Now we've made a correlation that everybody can.
Perfect. Got it.
All right.
But if you, in addition to that, if you have any thoughts or ideas, feel free to email us at ayafterhours@aymcdonald.com or visit any of our socials.
Great.
Boom. That's a wrap. Nice work.
Great. Good job.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you guys very much.
This is like
that was great.